My name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse and Oracle Broadcasting Networks. 2012 is coming to an end, 2013, just a few short days away. And the crisis of the day, of course, is the fiscal cliff. We have Washington, D.C., the mainstream media, mainstream business media, anybody can get in front of a camera, has got everybody convinced that if we go off this cliff, it's going to be the end of the financial world. Myself, as many others in alternative media have been saying, forget about it. We're not going to have a deal for the fiscal cliff. And it's not because I'm a genius or I have a crystal ball. It's because I realize this is how we govern our nation. We govern by crisis, and you can't govern by crisis unless you implement a crisis. Ergo, fiscal cliff. Here it comes. We're going to worry about shutting down the government. We're going to worry about Social Security checks going out. We're going to have all kinds of talk about how if we don't raise our debt ceiling, it's all coming to an end. And trust me, this is what it's about. It isn't about, getting on a sustainable path. It isn't about how we're going to build this nation's infrastructure out and how to become the manufacturer of the world and how to become this economic superpower once again. It's about creating more and more and more debt because this is how you make a populace malleable. Don't believe me? Look at Europe. They're ready to fling away their sovereignty, fling away their representative government in order to have some kind of help with their sovereign debt. We pretend as a nation that we're on the road to recovery. We're sold as people from our leadership and from the mainstream media that we are on the road to recovery because we're sitting at Dow 13,000. What a great and complete disconnect from reality. Dow 13,000. What does that mean? If we look back to when we first crossed the 10,000 mark on the Dow Jones, we got to go all the way back to 1999. 1999 to 2012, 13 years. We went from 10,000 points to 13,000 points on the Dow. Do you call this success? Even on an even playing field, that's a ridiculously poor return. But it isn't an even playing field. It's skewed to special interest. Because in the year 2000, we were sitting at $5 trillion in national debt, sovereign debt, put on the backs of the people of this country. A shocking amount of money in the greatest country on earth. $5 trillion in the year 2000. But in 2012, as the fiscal cliff looms, as the debt ceiling must be raised, we're sitting at nearly $17 trillion in national debt. $17 trillion. From $5 to $17 trillion. That same amount of time, the Dow Jones managed to tack on 3,000 points. Our national debt nearly quadrupled. In the year 2000, there were 17 million Americans that were drawing food stamps. Again, the greatest country on earth, and we have to have 17 million people on food stamps. That's nothing because we're pushing 50 million in the year 2012. Stepping into 2013, if you own your own home, right? If you're still fortunate enough to be part of the shrinking middle class and you own your own home, you're not going to sleep well knowing that the value of that home has fallen more than it did during the Great Depression. This is where we're at in the year 2013. There is no recovery. There is no solution to the crisis because the crisis is how we govern. 535-member body of Congress, too big. We'll give it to a super committee of 12. Super Congress of 12 is going to give us the fiscal cliff. We're going off the fiscal cliff. We will have more extraordinary measures, more crisis events, and more promises and more lies in the year 2013. Where does it all end? Stated goals have been made by the world elite, the financial world elite. One world financial governance. One world financial governance. This is the ultimate goal. They've been stating it for years, and they know how to accomplish it because they have a populace that is willing to believe the same lies over and over and over again. Slowly turn up the heat on the pot, and the frog will boil. This is what we're experiencing right now. This is what we'll experience in 2013. More crisis, more loss of freedom, more loss of sovereignty, more giving our own financial future to a bunch of people who brought us here in the promise of prosperity, more giving over our freedom for safety. And guess what? At the end of the day, we will not have prosperity and we will not have safety. We will have an overlord. We will have a dictatorial power telling us what to do from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. And if we don't like it, well, that's just too bad. Because it isn't about asking for permission at this point. It's about telling you what's coming next. Stories are attached. It's time to wake up and realize where we are and prepare for what is inevitable, what's coming next. Stories are attached. That's all I got.